So here we are at Dr. Elsa Schneider, probably the last Indiana Jones Adventure Series review I'll get to do. This is the last figure from Wave 3, and at least for the foreseeable future, this is the last figure that we're going to receive from Hasbro for Indiana Jones. But not only will we be looking at Elsa Schneider today, we'll also be building and looking at the Build an Artifact for Wave 3, which is the Grail table from The Last Crusade. So I'm particularly excited about that because as we've gone through these weeks, I've been able to see what the different parts are, and this looks like a really big bit of kit. Quite looking forward to it. But Elsa's first, let's not keep the lady waiting, let's get stuck in now. Hi, Chris here, the Geek figure fan, and as I said in the intro, today we're going to start by taking a look at Dr. Elsa Schneider from The Last Crusade, played by Alison Doody in the movie. And I actually met her about 3 weeks ago for an autograph for an Indiana Jones sort of saga poster that I've been sort of collecting autographs for, and she was lovely, really nice, gave us a lot of time, very personable, happy to chat, so it was a really good experience actually. I've been looking forward to meeting her for a while. But yeah, so let's get stuck into Elsa Schneider. She's obviously one of the villain characters from The Last Crusade, someone who double-crosses Indy sort of halfway through the movie. And the outfit we've got for Elsa is the outfit that she wears for probably the last act of the movie as they close in on Alexandretta and the location of the Grail. But what we're going to do first is probably take one last look at the Adventure Series box. So here we go. And as I've said many times before, I do love these boxes. As blister-free packs go, I really appreciate the amount of care and attention that the artists at Hasbro have taken in designing these boxes. They really do feel like maps from the 30s, or at least maps that evoke the feeling of looking at a scene in Indiana Jones when, you know, the plane is travelling from A to B and we're gliding across that sort of 1930s look at the globe. On the front and rear, we've got the 3D photorealistic renderings of the figure. On one side, we have pictures of all 6 figures from Wave 3, and then my favourite part, which is the poster art side. And on that spine, we've got 2 great illustrations of Elsa, one a close-up of her face and another of her picking up the false Grail, tricking Donovan into choosing poorly. And also on the back, we have illustration of all the accessories that come with the figure. And that's effectively it for the box. So let's get her out, let's get an initial look at this figure. We can talk about articulation and the various accessories that come with it as well. So here we go, here's Elsa, and I think the outfit on this figure looks amazing. Really true to the film in my opinion. The pants especially, that sort of slightly loose, leather look to those pants is fantastic. And on the head, we've got full exorcist movement on this head sculpt here, and a great upward and downward movement on it as well. Wing movement, again, tough. Wave 3, what have you been doing to us with wing movement? So tough. Look at me just trying to get that down again. But it does it eventually, and I'm sure it will loosen. Reasonably good single joint in the elbow, and not a bad movement in the wrist. Excellent torso movement, and a bit of an ab crunch there as well, which is unusual for these figures. There's a single joint in the elbow, and reasonably good movement in the ankle, and there would have been in the wrists as well. So yeah, I'm very pleased with this figure to start with. Can't wait to get her into some poses. Let's pop her over here. Now it comes with a couple of accessories. Really like the alternative head sculpt. The one with the German 30s hat on. That's really kind of iconic for the end of the movie. I'm very impressed with that. Can't wait to get that on the figure. And likewise, to go with the hat, we have her goggles as well for when she's riding in the open-top car in the desert. And then we have a bit of a cheat accessory. We have the false Grail, which I guess is needed in a mainline figure, but we have already had it with the Walter Donovan figure. And that's it for accessories. And then we have another piece to the Grail. This is another of the 2 legs for the Grail. And stay tuned because we will be putting that together later in this episode. But that's effectively it for her. Let's get her out on display and take a look at her in some poses. So yeah, really impressed with this figure. I don't think it's the best head sculpt, and I have gone on and on about the head sculpts for this wave being a step up from the other figures in this range. I also don't think it's a bad head sculpt by any stretch, not at all. I think maybe it's the weakest of the wave. That being said, the hair on this particular sculpt is gorgeous. Those little wild strands coming down from her neck and across her cheek, they're brilliant. I'm so impressed with those. Maybe the colour of the hair is a little light. You tell me. I don't remember her hair being quite as white blonde as it is on here. But we've got her first with the false Grail. You can see she's picked it up and she's walking over to Walter Donovan with it. This is the cup of the Son of God. And yeah, I mean, she poses really well with it. And if we take a little bit more of a look at her clothing, the top she's wearing, very impressed with that. It looks very much as I'd expect it to look from the film. I think perhaps the area around her wrists where it really puffs out is probably what takes me out of it the most. It looks quite plasticky, and it reminds me a little bit of Marion's pants, if you remember from Wave 1, those sort of flared red pants. And I suppose at the bottom of the feet it doesn't look quite as bad. But on here, I don't know. There's something about how those parts around the wrists flare out that I don't love. It kind of reminds me of chef's hats. I don't know. But yeah, it's not that bad. It just takes me out of it a little bit. I'm not a massive fan of that. The pants, on the other hand, I mean, I love them. I love the belt on it. I think the detail on the little buckle there is fantastic. The detail all the way down the pants is amazing, actually. I might be able to zoom in enough, but there are buttons, little buttons on both sides of the hips that look amazing, and you can see slits for the pockets. So the detail at the top around her hips is excellent. And then that just flows all the way down the trouser legs. There are a lot of creases on there that really pop in the light. I mean, this is one of those figures where the fact that they shine a little bit kind of works in its favour, because this is that leathery material where you would expect the light to shine off of those quite a lot. So I think that works, and I really love the high black boots that she's got on as well. Not quite as high as the boots that were on Helena Shaw from Dial of Destiny's figure, but I love these boots as well. They're quite simple, understated, but very impressive. So pleased with the clothing that she's got. But I want to take a look now at the alternate head. So here we have her with her alternate head on, and at the moment we've got her goggles draped around her neck. But these goggles do fit over her eyes as well, and we'll see that in a moment. But yeah, this is kind of my favourite look. I really like the goggles sitting around her neck as she wears them in the movie, and with her hat on as well. I think this is really impressive. So yeah, super happy with this alternate head. I actually think the blonde hair head is going to be a really popular kit bash item. I think that blonde head works really well and will work really well on any number of female figures. So yeah, I think that'll be quite a popular kit bash item, as will this head, no doubt. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this. That being said, this is another of the figures from Wave 3 that suffers from the same lack of accessories that we've talked about in numerous figure videos before this one from Wave 3. Considering that, you know, this has 3 accessories. Again, one of them is a piece of clothing. It's a pair of goggles. You know, we have an alternate head, which is fine, but again, it's not something that you can have. You can't have both of the heads on at the same time. So again, you're limited to just the goggles as an alternate, you know, additional accessory with the figure. And then we have the false Grail, which in and of itself is a nice piece and does sit well in the hands. But if you're a collector like myself that's been going through the additional figures, including the retail exclusives, you will already own that false Grail from Walter Donovan. So a little bit like some of the complaints I might have had with guns that just seem to keep repeating themselves across figures. It is a little disappointing to see the false Grail in here. But that being said, when we get on to building the Grail table, you will see that the amount of sheer care and the real weight to this build an artifact shows how much extra Hasbro have put into that part of this wave, more so than in the previous waves. So perhaps that's why we're seeing a little bit of a shortfall in accessories, because there's so much more with the Grail table build and artifact items. I don't know, but she is lacking a little bit in the way of accessories. Perhaps they were limited with the outfit that they chose. I personally think if they'd have gone for Venice Elsa, whilst perhaps not as iconic a look, they would have had a lot more freedom with regards to accessories, because you could have done anything from the library in Venice and the catacombs underneath. But I guess really you probably could have picked more accessories for this Elsa as well. It's not hard. But I do like the figure itself. I'm very impressed with it. Not my favourite of the wave, but another hit for Hasbro. I don't think they've really missed with regards to figures in Wave 3. Now, there might have been characters that I'd have preferred to have had, but every figure that they've attempted in Wave 3 I think has been a success. But there's not really a lot else to say for Elsa, which is a little disappointing. Other than the fact that I love her, I think she's great. But really, what I want to get onto now is the Grail table. This fantastic build an artifact. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start by putting this build an artifact together with the, well, it says 6 pieces, but actually some of these pieces break down into a few more. As you can see here with these legs, they actually, 3 pieces fit together, and I did struggle with these at first because they can only go in one way. And you will see you can't get the legs mixed up because the angles on the corners make it so that you can only fit one piece to one leg, etc. But as I click this piece together, not the easiest, it does feel great. I mean, it's got weight to it. It's quite heavy, even just the leg on its own. So I'm going to do the same to the second leg here. And now that I've worked out the process, it's going to be hopefully a little easier for me to put this together. And there we go. I'm just going to click that one in as well. Yeah, I mean, I love those legs. The detail on them I think is fantastic. We'll take a little bit more of a look at that detail later. And then we have the top of the table itself. And again, you can see 2 separate shapes. A little bit like a child's toy putting triangular pieces into triangular holes and stuff. But yeah, these just slide in nicely. There's no click there, which isn't quite as satisfying. But yeah, they just push straight in. Nice and easy, really. So let's put that second one in there. I mean, that's good, and that stands pretty solid. Let's just move these pieces out of the way, and I can put that towards the centre. And then you see here, this piece, it just slots into that hole there. Again, nice and easy. And that's it for the building of the table itself. Now we've just got to assemble the accessories that go on top. But yeah, I mean, the simplest, I think, to build out of all of them. We're going to start by putting the plates on, which you can see just slot into the holes. So it's nice and easy to work out where they go. So I'll start with that one. I'll just move that back a little bit there. That's it, so we can see it a little bit better. And then we're just going to do the same with the second one here. They look pretty even there. I like that. They're very good. And then we're going to continue by putting these 2 sort of flame bowls on there as well. There are little recesses where they can go right at the back. Excellent. Yeah, they look awesome like that, don't they? I think that looks great. A lot of symmetry going on here, but we're going to mess that up with these bits now. Yeah, and now we're just going to put on the false grails as well. And there are tiny little recesses there. They don't sit in them great, so you do have to be careful. A little bit like the Sankara stones. They don't fit in perfectly, but once they're in, they stand pretty well, as long as you're on a flat surface. So I think they look quite effective like that. And you will see that I have also got the True Grail from the Grail Knight that I'm going to put on here as well, because I thought that would look pretty good. But yeah, there you go. That's it. All put together. I'm so impressed with this. It strikes such a figure, such a silhouette. It's actually a really large bit of kit. Oh, I've got this. The True Grail's going. There he goes. It falls down. Yeah, it was clearly a bad idea to put the True Grail on there. But I'm sure if it's on a flat surface when you put it on and you don't move it like I did, it'll be fine. Let's get it in situ here and let's take a proper look at this. It's glorious. I love it. I think the build and artifacts have gotten better and better as each wave has gone on. It almost to the point where you look back at the Ark of the Covenant and you feel a bit shortchanged. You know, I know that they're all to scale and the Ark of the Covenant is the size it is because that's the size it would have been if all of the characters were 6 inches. But yeah, this just feels like you're getting far more for your money with this third build an artifact with the Grail table. I mean, just look at the detail of the legs. They're fantastic. I'm so impressed with that. The carvings that Hasbro have managed to replicate, and the top piece as well. The dome there with the religious illustration on the back. It feels like stone. I mean, the Sankara skull was the same. It looked like stone, and I know that it's plastic and what have you, but the impression they give of stone on these just is really effective. It works for me anyway. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. The only negative I have is how shiny the table and the legs look. It's got this gloss, almost varnished look to it, and I don't know why when the top piece is matte. So you've got this great looking matte finish top piece and then this arguably odd looking gloss finish to everything else. Just looks a bit odd. It looks slimy in comparison to the top, and I don't know why they've made that that creative choice. There must be a reason for it. But yeah, I'm really impressed with this build and artifact. I think it's really imposing on the shelf, and I like the fact that it is. It'll look great when you're placing it with the figures. And I even really like the carpet, the fabric that runs on the top, that sort of cascades down the various levels. I think that looks really effective as well. And I like the little false grails they've given us. The fact that they could have just been stuck to the table, but they're not. They're posable accessories that you can use with figures if you wanted to. And the same goes for the flames and for the silver plates as well. It is a little bit of a shame that there's no place for the true Grail, because it really doesn't stand up very well. But I don't know if it'd have stood up great if there'd have been a recess either, because the base of that Grail is so small, is so thin, it doesn't stand under its own weight particularly well anywhere. But that's it. That is the Grail table, and I think, in my opinion, the best of the build and artifacts. Please let me know in the comments whether it's your favourite build and artifact, or whether the Shankara Shrine or the Ark of the Covenant beats it for you. I'd be really interested to hear. And also, please drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Please consider subscribing to my channel for more news and reviews. I think now that the adventure series is over, we need to have a real retrospective. So I think we need to look at a proper top 5 list, a bottom 5 list. Maybe we put a tier list together and put them all into it. And on my community, I've been really enjoying the knockout competition we've been doing with the adventure series figures as well. And I'm sure we'll do that with more ranges once this one's finished. And maybe we'll start looking at our favourite figures of 2023 as well. So yeah, please subscribe if that interests you. But yeah, I've loved this adventure series journey. I think it's been fantastic. I don't want it to end, and I don't think it's quite over yet. I think we've got more. There's more videos in this. But regardless, if more Indiana Jones videos interest you, why not check out this one next? Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you all take care. Bye bye for now.